to stay at tier 1 longer. And at tier 1 they have archers and they have huntresses, and you have a blade master. And chances are, if you're burrow rushing them, they're not going to be building huntresses, because if even one of those burrows gets up, they need a lot of huntresses to take care of that one burrow, whereas 3 archers for a similar cost of 1 or 2 huntresses are much more effective and take up much less movers. So the chances are they'll be making archers, and what you basically force is an archer as a demon hunter versus grunts and blade master fight, which is very much in your advantage. And even if you don't win it, you can delay their tier 2 long enough, and often you can actually attack faster than them because they get over-paranoid about the impending rush. That you force that prolonged tier 1, which is incredibly helpful. And in both games I have for you today, unfortunately, the game is won with the burrow rush, but I have plenty of examples, and maybe that'll be the subject of another audio. But I have plenty of examples of the game going on, like either the burrow rush being beaten or delayed further, and I'm able to tech slightly faster than them and then come back and tower rush at tier 2, or even just play the game normally at tier 2 and win with that kind of advantage. So that's obviously very useful. But enough talk, let's get game 2 opened up. 1 minute mark, 1x speed, Fog of War off. It's between Sting and multi-click, so put it on Sting's point of view, obviously. While you're doing that, I'll just talk a bit about the map. The map is Tyrannostand. It's another map I burrow rush on, and I'm not sure if I burrow rush on it because it's a very good map to burrow rush on, or if I burrow rush on it because I despise playing against dots on this map. Honestly, either or. It's not anywhere near as good a map as Secret Valley to burrow rush on, I don't think. Particularly because it's harder to buy the circlets. You can't really buy both circlets without really delaying the burrow rush. But what is nice is that their Ancient of Wars is going to be, in this case, north of the elf space, next to the Goblin Labs, in case it's south, obviously. But anyway, it's away from the elf space, which is their only source of protection at tier 1, other than their Demon Hunter and their Archer. So, with that being said, let's get the game unpaused in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Again, I want to stress how difficult it is for the elf to scout what's coming and why that's so pertinent. I don't know if you guys remember, there was a strategy that used to be popular, and I'm sure some people still do it, but certainly not at the pro level anymore anyway. Naga grunts, where you basically build an early barracks and a late altar, and you tavern a Naga. And I've seen people tower rush from tier 1 that way, and I've seen them tech and get a second hero and tower rush at tier 2 with the Naga. But Naga, and because you get an extra round because you delayed your bearings, so Naga and 2 grunts versus a Demon Hunter and 1 Archer is actually incredibly effective. And one thing I've been experimenting with recently is burrow rushing out of that strategy, which has proven to be pretty powerful. Although I think that requires more than the Blade Master strategy. It requires another really large, just because the Naga is so fragile. But anyways, the peon obviously watches what the Demon Hunter is doing. Multi-click could choose to, I guess he could have killed the bear, but the truth is that delays his creeping, and it's just not a practice that you're going to see very many elves doing. They're just not going to, it's not worth it for them to have 25 experience versus creeping out that camp just a little bit faster. One thing that's very interesting, and I'm sure Sting noticed it, is that there was no second moon going up while his scout peon was there, and what that indicates is Hunter's Hall. And I don't know if Sting actually saw it. He might have, because it's almost done. But basically, you could tell that there was a Hunter's Hall going up. That means Huntresses. That means he does not even have an Archer. So the situation that Multiclick is in right now is that he has no Archer. So he has a lone Demon Hunter and 1 Moon Well. So any damage he takes on that Demon Hunter, he has exactly 100 majors, which is very, very little to heal that damage. And interestingly, he didn't creep one of the apprentice wizards to get level 2, which I think would have helped him out a lot in this situation. But anyways, the burrow obviously goes up. Very little he can do about that. His response to that burrow rush is to use the fact that he has Hunter's Hall early and build Ancient Protectors. And I think this is pretty much what you'd love to see if you're the Orc player, is this kind of reaction. where instead of building extra moonwells and staying tier 1 longer and building maybe an extra war or two, they build towers and think that they can counter this the way a North player would counter a human tower rush. And the truth is, as great as Ancient Protectors are against Gargs, and they're really not even that good against Gargs, they're terrible against, or they're terrible at beating defensive towers against rushes, and defensive towers against Orc in particular, because Orc towers have so much better range. So you see the first thing, I'm sure, that Sting has got an even earlier one though than I had going up. He's not building second burrow because he doesn't need to build a second burrow because Longsburg has not built an army to put pressure on the fact that he's being burrow rushed. So now towers are going up, and you'll notice he's not even putting them up. They're only in range of the tree of life and not really in range of anything else. And it doesn't matter. It's just the fact that the towers are going to go up, and that the only thing one click can do to stop him is attack with a single even hammer. So this is exactly, for you elf players out there, this is exactly the situation you don't want to be in. You absolutely need to have units, and you can't. I think it's a huge waste of your resources to go Ancient Protectors. I want to say that the 80 lumber versus the 50 lumber the Ancient of War costs you. On an Ancient of War with a few wisps repairing it, infinitely more effective. As is having an army. So the Ancient War you already have built archers, and then another two. The other two that are going up are used offensively to attack. Anyways, their multi-click gets level 2, and that's never good for your rush. But as you can see, there are enough towers up at this point, and they're beating down on that wall well enough. I think Sting doesn't really have to end the game here, but he just chooses to take out the Tree of Life, which is a pretty quick way to end the game, obviously, because the Soldier can't do very much on its own. And there's no place for him to rebuild that Tree of Life. I mean, he could do it, but technically he's lost his gold line. So that's game. For somebody who's going to build a defensive tower, I guess he's sort of paranoid. I'm sure he was expecting an army at some point. Multi-click never built one. But again, the power of this strategy is that you force the tier 1 fights. And it's not, I'm not going to tell you that you're going to win every single one of these. And in fact, I think the elf player has a pretty, providing that they don't make mistakes, I think they have a very good chance of fighting it off on any map, but particularly on Tyrannosaurus. But the whole point is, even if you force them to fight it off by prolonging their tier 1, by delaying their tier 2, and really questioning whether or not they should fast tech to dots. And I show you, it'll be on my second audio, I guess, on this strategy. But I certainly have very many replays where I throw up one burrow and don't even put extra peons in it, and the elf goes crazy, goes to Ancients of War, extra moonwells, and just kind of, he just kind of waits for me to make a move, and then his Ancient of Wars go up. But, I'm not pressing into his base this whole time I'm teching. And he'll beat me back into my base, obviously, but by the time he sees what's going on with my base, I'm already tier 2 with raiders coming out, and he's still tier 1 and barely tier 2, which is obviously a pretty easy win. And another thing you can do, and that frequently ends up happening, is you can force them to use their town portal during tier 1, either by damaging the surrounding demon hunter or whatever, which puts them in a really dangerous situation creep-wise. At tier 2, it's really hard to creep, for elf to creep at tier 2, in fast bear strategies or in fast talent strategies without a port. It's something that they're going to be paranoid about doing. And I've won several games like that as well. So anyways, that's the power of the burrow rush. I will do a second audio on it once I can find those replays where I kind of illustrate what will happen if you fail. But I think that's part of the beauty of this strategy, is that you don't necessarily have to win the game on the burrow rush to end up winning the game in the end. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. If anyone can tell me how to remove this background noise in Audacity, I've tried Google, it's not been very helpful for that. I'd appreciate it. You can leave that in the comments section. And of course, if anyone has any suggestions or questions, also please don't hesitate to ask in the comments section. Thanks guys. Peace.